Hey everyone, welcome back to the Money Level Show where we think, act, and prosper. I had to restart the live stream, so I will delete the other one. So pretty much yesterday in markets, a lot of things sold off. We had AI stocks sell off, NVIDIA, like some of the big chip producers, manufacturers, they sold off significantly. NVIDIA lost about 500 billion or something like that in market cap in one day. And so many of these tech stocks sold off, but also with that was a sell-off with natural gas, uranium, and many other commodities that we tend to trade and talk about on this channel. So I wanted to dive into that really quick. I don't have a lot of time today as I'm still doing my research and due diligence on this issue. But to my understanding, there was a company called DeepSeek in China that pretty much launched a AI chat GPT type of program. And they stated that it used a significantly less amount of energy than um, the AI data centers in in the U.S. are using. So this is pretty much something that was alarming for the industry, and this was caused a big sell-off because they were like, okay, we're saying that we need to invest this amount of energy into data centers. We need to. You saw the news about Microsoft and Constellation and many of these big utility companies that were looking to, okay, how do we power our data centers because this AI uses so much power and such. And so the and another aspect of that is the natural gas component of that too, which we've talked about that, and that's been a huge narrative. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen, and we're just going to jump through a couple of articles really quick on Substack, and just as we tend to attempt to understand this more, and as well as some information from Cameco. So in regards to uranium, Cameco had finally resumed the joint venture with Inkai, which is a joint venture they have with Kazatomprom. And so this is one piece of it where it had got halted because some regulatory paperwork was not submitted on time, and so that was halted for a little bit. But now that's scheduled to resume. And the idea around this is like, okay, this is going to bring more supply to the market. It's going to help reduce the supply deficit gap, and so then in turn, uranium equity sold off. So this happened on the same day. This news was released the same day as um, the DeepSeek news was released as well. So that was a pretty much a double whammy for uranium stocks. And so just wanted to share that. Also, when we look at the this is a really good article that I'm going to share here that was on Substack, but it explains, like, are we in the AI bubble? And there's been a lot of comparisons with this DeepSeek um, uh, program and company with a Sputnik, which is when we had the space race and everything, and there was some competition between Russia and the United States in terms of who can get to space first. And so we all know that Trump has come out and stated that America should be number one in AI. We should be the number one in cryptocurrency industries and such. And so with that being said, companies in China have been working on this AI thing. And so that gets released. And then now what we see is that, okay, looks like it's going to be something that's going to be very competitive between nations. Like nations like China aren't going to just sit back and allow the United States to just win this AI race. And so it's kind of taking us back to the times where we had the space race and things of that nature. So in this article by Jesse Colombo, he talks about this weekend marked a Sputnik moment for the U.S. AI industry. And he talks about the Chinese AI model DeepSeek burst onto the scene with a debut that quickly catapulted to the top of the iPhone app download charts in the US, surpassing ChatGPT's app. Um, the development sent shockwaves through the US tech sector and AI related stocks, underscoring the emergence of a serious foreign competition made all the more unsettling by its origin in China. So, DeepSeek claims of greater efficiency, meaning that they have cheaper energy and efficiency around powering AI. So that's very problematic for any commodities that we're investing in and things of that nature, because you're not going to need as much of it. So pretty much the whole narrative around AI data centers using so much power and such, that would just be erased off the table. And so all the performance that we saw last year with some of these stocks, especially there was a big sell off in like Oklo and Nano Nuclear and some of these other small modular reactor stocks, because this is problematic if China has a better solution than we're thinking of. And so they said greater efficiency achieved by leveraging cheaper chips. So that's how NVIDIA and some of these huge chip makers get impacted: cheaper chips and less data. All right, so less power using data than the leading American AI systems. Have further intensified concerns. Speculation is now mounting that DeepSeek could be the catalyst to burst the high-flying US AI stock bubble. So now, there's a couple of things. He goes into the whole markets, which I can link to this in the description, but we'll breeze through some parts of it. But pretty much, we saw a big sell off in the AI stocks and the chip makers. So, for example, here he says that DeepSeek, they only spent $6 million to for their open source training, and in contrast to OpenAI, ChatGPT's model, which is spent um, um, over 100 million in training costs. And so that's a huge difference in costs. And so, and they're saying that DeepSeek achieved this without relying on cutting edge US GPU semiconductors from companies like NVIDIA, which are banned from export to China due to national security concerns. So as you see, we saw a big sell-off. NVIDIA plunged about 17%. The Broadcom plunged about 17.4%. Taiwan Semiconductors plunged 13%. So these stocks were just running anyway. They were just overvalued, in my opinion. They've been for a while, but as you can see, there were some big drops in them. And so, and we know that Trump had signed an executive order that we're going to spend $500 billion in AI infrastructure and such. And so, this comes on the on the end of that news. That news was launched last week, I believe, and we saw AI stocks just start to skyrocket, and then this news particularly just cooled it off. So yeah, there's a lot of good information in this particular article. He relates it to the .com bubble and how everything now is in a bubble. And is this the popping of that bubble? Like, is this the news that pops that bubble? It remains to be seen. He talks through the S&P 500 being held up by the Magnificent Seven stocks and such. And so this could definitely be an issue. Definitely be an issue. Now, one thing I want to do is just dial back just a little bit, okay? Because this is very problematic, but I do want to remind us of the nature of the supply deficits, and this is where it gets more structural for uranium. So I've talked to Rick Rule and Justin Hune, and we've talked about what are the structural things, right? And oftentimes, like I think Rick in particular mentioned that the data centers and all of that, that's just the icing on the cake. we still have the cake itself, yellow cake too, right? But when we look at the supply demand, this is from Sprott, but also the sources from the World Nuclear Association. Um, it's looking at the uranium demand globally. So, as we can see, as far as the metric tons of uranium that's needed by each country, United States has a significant amount of demand. So, United States, China, and France, they are about 58% of global demand for uranium. We know that China is building multiple reactors in China and such, and so that plays a big role. Next is the supply and demand imbalance. So as we can see, we have the demand, which is the green, and the production, which is the blue. Currently, there is already a gap between the production and the demand. So we already have a supply gap. It is expected that that supply gap is going to decrease. That supply demand gap is going to decrease some, which I mean, that could be from Inkai or whatever the case, wherever these pounds are going to come from. But it's not going to fully resolve itself. It's going to decrease from where it is now, but it's not going to fully resolve itself. But then as you get later on into the next decade or two, it's saying that, okay, based on what we're producing now and the demand that continues to grow, that there's going to be a huge supply gap coming in the next 5 years. And so this is something that when we're looking at the bigger picture, something to consider and something to factor into this whole picture. Yeah, the whole DeepSeek thing, if that is true, which many people are on the ground investigating that to determine, like, okay, is this something that is going to really derail like a lot of the things that are happening? Like, yeah, that's important to pay attention to. But also, if we're looking at this with a longer term outlook, right? 5 years or more. I know some of us have been in this trade since 2020, 2021, 2022. We saw some run-ups in uranium and such. And I mean, even the announcing of the AI infrastructure bill that Trump signed, the uranium stocks started to move up. And there's going to be more buying opportunities along the way. I think that with what's measured by this from the World Nuclear Association, with the amount of demand that's coming, I just think that these prices of uranium can increase significantly over the next 5 to 10 years. So that's the outlook that I'm keeping on this. And just wanted to encourage you all, those of you all that still invest in uranium and still want to participate in the bull market. This is one of the structural things that we have to consider and such. And so they also talk about uranium producers, where most of the production does come out of Kazakhstan, Canada, uh, Namibia, and Australia. And yeah, so we can see where the production is coming from there. So I just wanted to share that with you all. This is something that is very happening on the ground with our investments and such. And so I wanted to give you that information. Hope that this was helpful. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and like the video if you have not yet. I am testing out this new streaming platform. I see that we got some people in the chats here. JT, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you for sure supporting the channel and everything. This is just a quick live stream, you all. So I will be back on soon. Got some more interviews coming up and such. And so just really appreciate the support that you all have been giving to the channel. So I will touch base with you all soon, and you all have a blessed day.